I
All
think
right.
we're live.
What's happening?
Hello. We are live. Hello, everyone. Come on in, say hi. We can't wait to talk to you today. We are excited. My name is Coach Tash, if you don't know who I am. And then this is Coach Jax with me. Uh-oh, is my internet?
A little bit
Okay,
laggy,
good.
but it's
I was
good.
worried my internet was slow down there for a second. Oh no!
Oh, good.
Okay, I hope that it's getting better. I actually just closed absolutely every window I could on my computer.
There we go. Reduce the bandwidth.
So guys, my name is Coach Tash. Yeah, there's a massive delay, I can tell. So hopefully it'll work. But guys, I've got Coach Jax with me today. And so, yeah, so we're going to be getting on Facebook here and checking your comments. So swipe in and say hi if you're with us. Today, we are talking about managing stress and anxiety in 2021. I feel like it's a hefty topic, but we're going to do our best. We're going to really try to just give you guys some pointers and just point you in the right direction. So here we go. Let me see who's here. Oh, we've got a few people on already. Let me just turn down my volume. Hi, Auntie Pat. Hi, Sue. We've got Nikki Kemp, Yvonne, Sharon. Hi, Kim. Hi, guys. Thanks for joining us today. Say hi if you're here. Hi, Eva. Nice to see you. We've got Coach Louie watching with us as well. Coach Louie, I will have my lunch after this, I promise. He sent me a message this morning. Are we not eating anymore?
He's got his thumb on you.
Oh, he's a good coach. Let me tell you, he's a toughie, but he's good. And then we've got Susan. We've got Karika. Hi, guys. Thanks for joining us today. So if you're just swiping in, please still keep saying hi. We will keep checking the comments there. But we are talking about managing stress and anxiety in 2021. So I've asked Coach Jax to join me today because, I think both of us have a passion about this. We have a passion about managing your stress, managing anxiety in your life. So from Jax's physical background, from my psychological, cognitive background, we're kind of meeting in the middle and saying, like, how do we, in this time that we're finding ourselves in, how do we manage our stress? Let me just check who else is here with us. So we've got Sharnay as well. Hello, Joyce. Joyce is there. Candace is there. Hi, Candace. We've got Nicole Lariche joining us. Esmery. Hi, you lovely people. So we are excited to share with you today. So all right. So Jax, first, maybe introduce yourself and why are we talking about managing stress and anxiety, you and I specifically today?
So I'm Coach Jax, everyone. I'm a mom of 3, and I think this hits home it's quite strong for me because I've got my 3 kids and I actually take care of my dad, and he's an invalid. So it's I think managing my own stress over the last 3 years, taking care of my dad, doing the household, doing mom things on an overall basis, that I had to learn very quickly because I actually got to a point where kind of lost myself a little bit, and I actually had to kind of step back, reassess everything and just kind of like really understand that I need to manage, what I can, what I can and can't change. I need to understand the difference at the end of the day. But studied human movement sciences in Port Elizabeth, and finished up there and moved to Joburg. So I've been bouncing. I've been doing a lot of moving. So I'm now in Port Elizabeth and happy by the sea because I need a little bit of vitamin C. It keeps me nice and calm as well.
Yeah, the vitamin C, SEA. That's our best kind of vitamin A.
Yes,
Yeah,
exactly.
And and I think also, Jax, you mentioned a few things there, like things that cause stress. It's not just mothering, because that is stressful. We love our kids, and Jax is also, for those of you who don't know, Jax has twin boys, so that keeps you on your toes and active. Yeah. So we do love our kids, and it's not the only source of stress, but there's just in general, financial stress, moving is so stressful. And there's so many other things that just can cause added stress into your life. So Yeah, I think this kind of leads into the first part of what we want to talk about is the societal stress and anxiety. You can see it there on the screen. So just talking about societal stress. So, as a world, as a humankind, we are dealing with a very stressful time in our lifetimes. This is un, I'm trying to say precedented, but yeah, I feel like those words have been overused, but it's an unprecedented time. People say it's the new normal, things like that. It is just not what any of us expected. It kind of came out of the blue, and it causes a lot of stress. And it's not just, the unknowns, the uncertainty, and the instability of the times that we're living in. Are we going to be in level 3? Are we going to be moving to level 5 again? Is there going to be a new wave? What is our job situations looking like? So for both Jax and I, like we're coming from a place of vulnerability with you today, because both of us have had to deal with a stressful year throughout lockdown, with husbands that are in industries that is just completely relying on the not lockdown funding. I don't know how to explain it, but
it was not the worst between fitness and restaurants, and I think it was hectic.
Yeah, exactly. And my husband is in the movie industry, and no one's going to the movies, and he's in animation, so no one's going to the movies. So those industries have taken knocks, and there's tourism, and there's all these other industries across the board. We're not trying to minimize anyone else's situation, but we're coming to a place of vulnerability and saying, like, we've had to deal with stress, and we've had to manage it, and we're really aware when we're talking to you today that we're not just talking about someone who is prone to stress or someone who's prone to anxiety, that actually all of us are experiencing some level of societal stress, and there's the collective anxiety as well. So let me just quickly go over some of the symptoms that you can kind of like look to say, is this stress? And some of this might actually look like COVID symptoms. So just so you know. So I think it also is confusing, because we're dealing with the stress of, do I have COVID? Do I not? And then we just, increase the stress symptoms. So our the symptoms that you can kind of like relate to stress, and none of this is rocket science, guys, this, but just listen out and see if you can kind of find yourself dealing with this, because then you might be dealing with some of the societal stresses. And even if you're someone who's happy-go-lucky and you feel like you actually have a positive demeanor and outlook in life, there is this undertone that we're dealing with collectively. So emotional symptoms that you can experience is becoming easily agitated, moody, frustrated, feeling overwhelmed, having difficulty relaxing and quieting your mind, feeling a little bit like bad about yourself, like a low self-esteem might actually creep in as well. And then maybe even avoiding others. I don't know, Jax, when I was dealing with stress, like I kind of enjoyed some of the aspects of lockdown, of not having to always face other people, and like kind of dealing insular and inward when we actually need each other, even if it's just a phone call.
100%. I always liked that. I wanted to hit fetal position. That was me. But I had to literally kind of take a step back and like, I can't live my life like this. So it's just a means of stepping back, seeing what you can manage at the end of the day, and just taking it day by day, if anything. I mean, we are creatures of habit. So anything that's like unplanned and unsuspected, we're like, don't quite know what to do. But it's just a means of, I think everybody's got to kind of cut themselves a bit of slack as well, give them credit. You got to kind of reflect as well, look at your past successes as well, and just, you've been through it, you didn't die. So it's, just a means of cut yourself some slack and just self-care as well.
That's right. So that's some of the emotional symptoms, and just being aware of them. And then some of the physical symptoms, guys, like I said, this is so confusing when we look at COVID and some of the symptoms there, but low energy, headaches, upset stomach, aches and pains, tense muscles, chest pain, insomnia, colds and infections, loss of sexual desire and or ability. Sometimes, women can lose their period in this time, which is also, a whole other ball game as well. nervousness, and dry mouth, clenched jaw, grinding your teeth while you're sleeping. So those are some of the physical symptoms. So if you find like you are maybe dealing with one or some of those, also be aware that you could be dealing with a heightened stress levels. And then some of the cognitive symptoms. So this is the how we're thinking. So constantly worrying. And this is where anxiety and stress kind of does this like overlapping. Racing, forgetfulness, disorganized. I feel like I'm so disorganized this year or this
I
past
think we all
little
do.
while.
Don't worry.
Inability to focus, poor judgment, being pessimistic. I think that's a big one, especially with the societal stuff. And then some of our behaviors, changing our behaviors. So this is interesting, especially in the Jeff space, is change in appetite, procrastinating and avoiding responsibilities, an increased desire for alcohol, which is crazy considering that we had that alcohol ban. And then exhibiting more nervous behaviors like nail biting, fidgeting, and pacing, walking around. So those are some of the things that you can look out for. It's a long list. It's a very comprehensive list. But if you find yourself that you're dealing with any of these things, write them down. Write down which symptoms you're dealing with, and then maybe look at and say, okay, so this is the symptoms that I'm experiencing. Now, how am I going to approach it? And we're going to give you a couple of tools today, and we're going to go through that in a little bit. But just be aware of that. And then, the other thing is the collective anxiety, being aware of this undertone of anxiety. I mean, we are constantly bombarded with bad news in these days, whether it's statistics or death tolls or loss of careers, loss of industries that are shutting down. There's this anxiety that's under all of us, that we're worried about what if, what next, what is happening. And it causes a lot of feelings of panic. And we can sometimes feel like we're losing control. And if you're dealing with anxiety to begin with, this is a heightened time for that. And people feel a lot more stressed out because of it. But as a whole, we're all dealing with anxiety. It's just if you're feeling like it's going to lead to panic attacks, this is where the part of the chat where we want to tell you, make sure that you go talk to someone. This is not something that is just going to blow over. Make sure that you talk to someone who's either a counselor or a professional who can help you and give you the guidance, and be aware of it. But I think what it does for the most of us, for the majority of us, is actually causes us to be a little grumpy and a little short, and maybe our words are not always well thought out.
Yeah. I think I speak too fast before I can think sometimes. So, yeah.
Exactly. And we go into panic mode and we start like worrying about like, what do I do? What do I do? So, Jax, that leads us into our next part of our chat. So those are just some things to watch out for. If you're feeling any of those symptoms, be aware that we're all dealing with the societal stress, that we're all dealing with this collective anxiety. If you're feeling like it's, a little bit out of control, please make sure that you chat to someone and get that help. But now, for us, the majority of us that are just trying to get by, trying to make the most of this, what are some of the things that we can implement? So there are a couple of things that we're going to look at today. And the first is control. So, Jax, do you want to talk about control a little bit and how we can make sense of our control and the things that we're in control of and the things that we're not in control of?
Yeah, no, 100%. So when it comes to control, obviously it's a hell of a overwhelming when you kind of have all the stuff coming at you at once. So obviously the first thing is just to take a step back and just reassess, what you can control. I think everybody feels like they need to be in control all the time. Sometimes it's not possible. And I think what we chatted earlier about today, the locus of control. It's just look at things that you're able to manage. If you can't manage it, just let it take its course and let it kind of solve itself. I know it's not the most comfortable feeling, but there's no point in putting stress and energy into things like that when you can actually put that energy into a place where it needs to be. And I think that's where it comes to, your exercise and your nutrition. I mean, I'm guilty of it. When I stress, sometimes I don't feel like eating, but I need to regain that control, and I need to make sure that I'm eating, otherwise the energy levels start to slump. So I think just general, look at what you're able to manage, and kind of, it sounds terrible, but just accept, things that are out of your control, and just assess it from that measure.
Yeah. Yeah, I think especially in this time and in this era, like you talked about the locus of control, and we actually, in psychology, we people either lean towards one or the other. Either you have an internal locus of control where you feel like I'm in control of my destiny, I can control things, I can control the outcome of things, or you have an external locus of control where you feel like everything is out of my control. And I feel like, and maybe I need to not challenge some of the greatest minds in psychology, but I feel like in this time that we find ourselves in, we kind of need a balance of both, because there are going to be some things that we just cannot control. Like I said to my husband, we did this trip through Africa, and there are just stuff that happens, and you can moan about it, you can complain about it, but there's nothing you can do about it. I'm not going to change the politics of Rwanda as we're driving through Rwanda, so
you can't.
Why moan and complain? Why moan and complain about it? If I was an activist in Rwanda, that'd be a different story, because then it's in my control to actually do something about it. So we made this deal to make our time together. And this is kind of like that trip again. Like, we are going through stressful times and fun times at the same time. Like, it's this roller coaster ride that we're on in the season of our lives and in our society. Let's not complain about the things that we cannot control. Let's work on the things and change the things that we can control. And I feel like that might be a tip that we can share with people today, is to say, recognize and realize that you have some things within your control, but there are things that are completely out of your control. I can't complain about the weather, even though I live in Cape Town and we complain about the weather every day. If it's too hot, we complain about it. If it's too cold, we complain about it. But I cannot change the weather, but I can change how I relate to the weather, what I wear, how I enjoy the weather. And so the same way, I cannot change what someone else is thinking about me, but I can change how I respond to how they're thinking about me. And I think that that's where it comes in helpful to let go of some of the control, the things that we try to control, and not hold on so tightly to it. And then actually, take the things in our hands that we can control, like my attitude, my thoughts, and my words. Like you said before, like when we go into panic mode, we just go into those words.
It's a duck sitting on the water.
Yes, well, that's actually that goes into one of our next points that we're going to make is talking about seeing this time as a disruption instead of an interruption. And I think a lot of the societal stress and anxiety that we're experiencing is because we thought that, and someone shared this with me recently, and I just thought it's such a great way of looking at this. If we see this as an interruption, that life is going to go back to normal at some point, we keep waiting for that time to come. And we're just living in this time of limbo, just waiting and like dreaming of, remember when, we used to be able to go out all night and there was no curfew, or remember when we could buy wine on Saturdays, like those kinds of things. It's not to say that this is going to last forever, but we don't know. And it's causing us an underlying stress and anxiety, where if we see this as a disruption and say, okay, this is a disruption to the way that I saw things before, how do I change me, and how do I change my family, or, my work, whatever it is, to deal with right here and right now? We all saw it. Here we are online, where we used to work in the same office. It's a disruption. It's not that we're going to go back to working in an office together. We work online, and we've adapted to this disruption. And this this culture community of Jeff was born out of this disruption. And Jono and Jules and the team moved super fast to create something, and they made the best of this disruption. So that would be, second tip is take the disruption, Don't see it as just an interruption in this time, because we don't know what's going to happen. We don't know how things are going to change, and we're going to drive ourselves crazy trying to figure it out. Take this time and just see it for what you can make the most of it. So yeah. And then Jax, you mentioned the duck. Do you want to tell people what our final tip is for dealing with the stress?
Yes, a little analogy. So just like
we use this all the time.
Yeah. I think all the coaches are like, they're remaining calm there, but they're paddling like crazy underneath. But it's like, I think with the stress and anxiety and things like obviously hurtful words and things like that come through, especially when someone's really kind of, where there's a lot of tension. It's easier losing my words. So just like a duck, water on a duck's back. You got to kind of bounce it off and just manage, what you can manage at the end of the day. Be like a duck.
Be like a duck. Thanks, Amy.
But yeah, just try and keep yourself above water at the end of the day. Just paddle, paddle, paddle. You got to keep going. So if you don't keep going, you're gonna drown. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, exactly. And yeah, exactly. Like you said, in this season as well, like people are going to say things that they don't mean. I say things I don't mean. Heavens, like I hope that I'm not always held accountable for the things I've said in stress, but we are responsible for what we say. But I think in this season, let's give each other a lot of extra grace and understanding, and know that everybody is dealing with a ton of underlying societal stress and this collective anxiety, and let it roll off your back. And then maybe if it really bothers you, you can go back to someone and say like, hey, can we talk about that? But don't react, because then you're just going to go into the snowball. And this is probably more, true for colleagues, for people that you interact with daily, but also in the family. Like if I reacted to, everything that had been said and done in this house, and my husband is lovely, but we would have been like,
mine too, very patient.
And I have reacted. I'm not going to pretend that this is not perfect, but yeah, dealing with it in such a way that you realize and recognize that person's also dealing with a ton of stress and anxiety. The person at the checkout, like wherever we're going, whoever we're interacting with, show each other a lot of extra grace and kindness. Like I think we did a chat a couple of weeks ago on kindness and showing yourself and others kindness. That will reduce your stress as well, because you're focusing on the good instead of constantly seeing the things that are hard and tough. So those are our basic quick little tips for today, guys. We didn't want to make this a lecture. We didn't want to go into like a massive amount of things for you to remember, because it's too stressful.
Tash, I think if you could, you would have brought up the psychology textbook if you could.
Busted. But yeah, I think the main things we wanted to just say is that everybody is dealing with this stress and anxiety in this time. Be aware of that, but also reflect on the things that you're in control in, and making sure that you are aware of the things that you have control over, the things that you don't have control over, and then how you respond to those. See this maybe this time as a disruption rather than an interruption, and how you can modify your reactions, your life, your behaviors, your habits, all of that around this. And I think for all of us, the gym's closing in a way became this place where we actually had an outlet, and connected us in more ways than we could have ever imagined. And then be like a duck, let it roll off, paddle, don't give up, don't roll over and just, lie down, but paddle through and be that calming effect on other people in your life. And yeah, it'll take you far. So guys, we would love to hear some of your suggestions of how to deal with stress. So if you don't mind, if you've commented it already, then please just copy and paste so we can see that, because we'll go through, Jackson and I will go through the comments and we'll answer and we'll check it. But share some of your tips on how to deal with stress, because we would love it. And I'll go through now and just check a couple of them. So Auntie Pat said, thank you so much. Nikki Kemp said, this was incredible. Thanks, ladies. Lauren said that she can so relate to this. Yes.
Awesome.
Jax and I wanted to make sure when we sat down and we decided what we're going to talk about and how we're going to talk about this, we wanted you guys to know that we're coming of a place of not having it figured out, not having this like down packed, but that we're just sharing our hearts, and that we get it. Yoga helps with stress. Absolutely.
Yes.
That's a great
Just
one.
breathe.
Yes. Yeah. So Charnay said that let me just go. Sorry, the things just jumped around quickly. Let me just see what she said quickly. This is what she said. She said, this is so important and also so relatable. Awareness is incredibly important. I have tried to remove myself from negativity, especially from a social media perspective as well. So valuable. So valuable. Like that's the duck that we were talking about. Let it roll off. The things that you need to listen to that. The things that you need to roll off, just let it roll off. Yeah. And then Nikki said that she's under a tremendous amount of stress at the moment and incredibly hard on herself. So this was extremely helpful. Nikki, we get it. We're here with you. We get it. It's a stressful time, but we've got each other and we've got this community. All right. So this is a good one from Shirley. She says, keep a journal and write down your feelings. And actually, you and I talked about this, and we talked about gratitude, writing down the things that you're grateful for. Because I think when you go through the day and you just see the negatives, it's really easy to just see that. But if you can write down the positives and then go back to it to say like, oh yeah, I remember that. Like that was so awesome. So it helps us to be grateful and have a attitude of gratitude. Is like I always say to my kids when they moan about the dinner that they got. Attitude of gratitude, guys.
Journal it down.
yeah, exactly. Write it down. Mommy doesn't want to hear it. So it's been mentioned, the yoga, so flow, meditation, those things really help. Acknowledge feelings. Yeah, acknowledge your feelings. Acknowledge how you're feeling. Don't try to keep stuffing it down. We talked about this for emotional eating side as well. Don't keep trying to stuff those feelings down. Deal with them. Call them out. Say what they are. Feel them.
Don't suppress it. Suppressing is just going to, that's toxic. Hell of a toxic.
Exactly. It's like a rubbish can, like a rubbish bin. If you keep stuffing the stuff in and you just keep squishing it down, it's going to rot so badly on the bottom, and then you just having to deal with a much bigger issue. That if you take out the rubbish regularly, whether that's whatever you need to do to release your stress, whether it's a quick little walk around the house or a scream into a pillow, whatever you need to do. Whatever you need to do for your sanity, no one else hears it. Whatever you need to do for your sanity. I haven't done that in years, so I should just say that, but it does help
from time to time.
Megan said, I have found it super challenging to change my behavior on stress eating. So Megs, we've actually done a Jeff Ed on that, but this is also something to share with your coach, and your coach can help walk you through this, because stress eating is really, really, it's a common problem that we as coaches find. It's for very many reasons. And like we were saying, with the undertones of stress, it's almost like we're all under stress all the time. So stress eating is going to be part of it. And we don't always realize and recognize it. So the first thing to getting a handle on stress eating is actually acknowledging it. So well done. That's your first step. And talk to your coach about that so that you get that and get some good tips. And then
because of behavioral change as well. You need to make a behavioral change. Fill it with something that's positive.
There you go. Well done. Okay, so it's important to give yourself a regime to stick to. Yes. Stability. In this time, this is Lori who's saying this, in this time of uncertainty, finding, some routines, finding things that actually gives you stability is so important. That goes back to the things you can control. I can control my bedtime. I can control, not necessarily how I sleep at night, because little ones having nightmares and things like that disrupt our sleep, but I can control how I'm reacting and my behavior. So make sure that you control your routine as much as you can, and the things that then come out of your control, you brush them off and you say, okay, cool, I'm just going to move on, because these are the things I can control. So build in your sleep patterns, build in your eating. I'm saying that as I know Coach Louie is watching, because I know he's Pot calling the kettle black. Okay. And so, all right. So yeah, so I'm gonna say let's wrap it up there because we've reached our time here. But guys, thank you so much for all these amazing things. I see someone mentioned music as well. Like there's so many great things that we can share. So thank you for joining us. We've loved just being able to chat to you guys. Jax, I've loved having you on with me. And
thank you for inviting me.
Your positivity. So Jax is on my team, and her positivity always just brightens my day and makes me excited about my day. So yeah. So surround yourself with people who have a positive energy as well, because it's contagious and it energizes you as well. So guys, if you want to learn more about Coach Jax, she's going to be on the Coach's Corner tomorrow with Kathleen.
Yes. Vulnerability.
No, I think everybody's excited to get to know you more, so that'll be cool. So yeah, so guys, check that out tomorrow on the Coach's Corner. I think is at noon, hey? Is it 12 or is it 12:30? I forget, but it's sometime tomorrow around lunchtime. And yeah, go in and show your support to Coach Jax then. And yeah, and Jax's Conquerors. You want to say hi to them and a shout out to them?
Yes, my ladies, my world. They keep me going through the day. They accept all my challenges. Thank you.
Yeah, they do. My goodness. I see those and I'm like, they are pretty hardcore, these ladies. They're toughies.
They're on top form.
They are on top form. Yeah, they're amazing. All right, guys, that's us for today. Hope you have a fantastic afternoon and go out, be like a duck, control the things you can control, let go of the things you can't control, and yeah, just have a fantastic day. And we'll chat to you guys soon.
Okay. Cheers, guys.
Bye.